From place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. I wanna share my love, but it's gotta be with someone who's precious. You're never gonna get my love, accepting that you're real, real precious. You're never gonna cramp my style, baby, cause I get a lot of pleasure. And if you wanna test my style, you better have a whole lot of measure. Cause I'm a rock back chick, never tag along the never look back chick. Trendy, a little crazy, intelligently, singing rock back chick. No sticks, no stones, or any kind of weapon don't belong here. I don't wanna break no bones, I just want a microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. I just want a microphone. Morning. I just want a microphone. Morning. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
1, 2, check.
Smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. This world is getting so cold, I wanna keep running like a soldier. Somebody must have touched my soul, cause there ain't no stopping till it's over. I wanna get up out my chair, cause everybody's getting so lazy. Don't want nobody touch my hair, cause a lot of sisters acting too crazy. And them not tough like this, rough like this, and them not nice like this. Some can't take it when you talk true sense, rather hear the words that glorify nonsense. Yes, and I got my brains, and I'm pretty like my mama. I don't wanna pick your brains, I just want the microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. I wanna share my love, but it's gotta be with someone who's precious. You're never gonna get my love, accepting that you're real, real precious. You're never gonna cramp my style, baby, cause I get a lot of pleasure. And if you wanna test my style, you better have a whole lot of measure. Cause I'm a rock back chick, never tag along the never look back chick. Trendy, a little crazy, intelligently, singing rock back chick. No sticks, no stones, or any kind of weapon don't belong here. I don't wanna break no bones, I just want a microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning. morning, morning, good morning, morning. Good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning. Good morning,
morning. It's the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. It's 7 a.m. Welcome. Read the weather outside. Beautiful this morning.
Very much so, Julian. We are happy because there's some sun out. So good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad, Caribbean. Those of you viewing us on the live, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm happy to have some sun. And yet yesterday, some persons were complaining, oh gosh, the sun is too hot. Really?
Well, we started off yesterday. Yesterday would have been Wednesday, and we would have had the benefit of the very first Executive Council press briefing that took place. In fact, that would have been the first Executive Council meeting of the new PDP administration, leading the way here in Tobago. And we saw Chief Secretary Farley as well as Secretary of Health, Dr. Faith V. Israel, addressing the media at yesterday's press briefing. And I saw the amount of persons tuning in and focus. I'm sure, again, quite naturally, that had to do with the newness in terms of being able to follow the press briefing directly. And let's see how our chief operates in his first press briefing. But I want to suspect that while people may have been pleased with how the chief operated, they were probably a little disappointed with the information that was coming forth,
yes.
Kind of giving us a reality of, we got to be very conscious as to where we are at this point.
Yeah, and while we may not be happy, I mean, the Chief Secretary Farley is asking for central government to keep within the law as it relates to the monies or disbursement of funds for the Tobago House of Assembly. So, I mean, there are a lot of things happening. There are a lot of projects on the ground that, of course, Tobagoans want to see completed. Let me say completed, or should I say completed? There are projects on the ground that Tobagoans want to. I think that was started under the previous administration to see completed, but at the same time to see Tobago continue to develop. Because I think we are well way behind the curve, Julian, and we want to see Tobago moving in an upward direction. Yeah.
So it's really, and one of the things that folks cannot complain about is that was one of the promises given by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine in terms of transparency and accountability.
Yes.
And you really saw that coming forward from the very first press briefing in terms of the feedback and the information coming from both himself as well as from the Secretary of Health.
Yes.
Although the picture, isn't that the kind of picture we would want to see.
It's somewhat daunting, but
within the context of a pandemic, we still ought to be very grateful that we are, we're getting the information as is. This is what they promise. We're not going to withhold stuff from you. We're not going to keep it from you. We're going to let you know and give you a clear idea. This is what's happening in the Tobago space. This is the situation. This is the scenario. And we also going to let you know it's not about I or me fixing this. The mantra has always been in terms of persons coming together as they have done throughout the campaign in terms of we. So there was also that call yesterday that was very clear when you heard Dr. Faith speaking to the call for volunteers. I felt that was something quite good in terms of moving that direction to call on the resources that we may have here in the island. Volunteers with regards to medical skills and so on, whether you're retired, you're still able, you're still capable and that kind of thing. So again, aligning with the overall mandate of really trying to bring together Tobago in terms of this administration, showing that signal of bringing together Tobago in order to solve and to move forward through our challenging times.
All right. So in the interest of time, Julian, I'm switching gears a little bit here because this morning the Port Mall family and the Tobago family would be mourning the loss of Daryl Mahabir, who was the previous owner of Japs or Daryl's downstairs. Yes. Who passed away yesterday. So we take the opportunity this morning to extend condolences to the family and the staff, friends, and the entire Port Mall family on the passing of Mr. Daryl Mahabir. I know when he started off as Japs, we heard Japs. Everybody, Tobago was just talking about Japs, and then they changed names, and they were now then known as Daryl's. So it's going to be I'm not sure however they move forward, but it's sad to hear.
Definitely a challenging time there. And Ria, who do we have this morning on the lineup?
Well, coming up, we are privileged to have with us this morning on the program Councillor Tashia Boris. She's going to be chatting with us this morning as it relates to tourism and the new portfolio which I'm trying to pull up.
The Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. In fact, Ria, she might give us a sneak peek into yesterday's Executive Council meeting. Who knows? Definitely.
And of course, you know, Tobago, the thing is, Tobago wants to know about how we're moving forward with tourism. We've been known as Sun, Sea and Sand, yes. Do we still continue with the Benaball and sugar cake type of tourism that we've been cultured, you know, into, or do we how do we move beyond that? We're talking tourism post-COVID, all right, mid-COVID, post-COVID. How do we move upward and onwards?
Right, and this morning we'll also be chatting with Joseph Frederick, political activist, and we'll be analyzing the THA election results. He'll be giving us his perspective. And we wrap this morning's segment with Dimitri Fraser, NACC youth representative, chatting with us on HIV and AIDS awareness drive that's upcoming.
That's
Ria,
right.
just before we wrap up this morning's segment, I also want to send out birthday greetings. Birthday greetings to Venicia Frederick. Venicia goes to Harmon's School of, Harmon School of SDA, and I really want to wish her a happy birthday, and I trust that you have an enjoyable one coming from the entire family. Don't worry, we're going to make sure that we celebrate. Later is going to be greater. We're going to have all the food, drinks, etc. Non-alcoholic beverages, but you will enjoy your birthday celebration.
All right, just before we take the break, just to let you know that today's the Ethiopian Orthodox Church in Trinidad and Tobago celebrates 69 years of the arrival of the church in Trinidad and Tobago. And just to let you know that the church was first set up in Tobago. So that little church that we see going up Darrell Spring, that was the first church being set up in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is their 69th anniversary today. I want to send out as well anniversary greetings to my sister and her husband, who are celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary in quarantine. Hall John Thomas and Kimmery Richardson Thomas, yes, celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary today in quarantine.
Well, I think that makes it a little special.
Well, they're going to have to be very creative.
Paul and God.
That's right.
Celebrating there in quarantine.
That's right.
Happy anniversary to you as well.
Definitely. And a special good morning going out this morning to Carol Adams out of Trinidad. Happy day going out to you. Lots of love coming to you from the Richardson George family. So, Carol, we trust that you're going to have a better day today than you did yesterday. Lots of love to you.
All right, viewers, this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. We look forward to the next segment with Councillor Tashia Boris. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
To all Tobagonians and visitors of this beautiful island, the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is seeking your efforts and support in keeping a clean and organized, friendly environment. In doing so, drop-off bins are located at strategic areas around Tobago for your recyclable materials such as plastics, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and tetra packs in bags, and let's protect our environment. Our own Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is here to propel that change. Look for the white bin nearest to your area.
It's our 75th anniversary. Live, laugh, and love with Lambo Credit Union. Take advantage of our 75th anniversary loans and get 100% financing for home improvement, appliances, groceries, debt consolidation, and much more. Did we mention no payment until January 31st, 2022? Get the most flexible repayment periods and the best interest rates around. Not a member? Not a problem. Apply for our new member reloaded loan and get up to $30,000 with zero down payment. Let's get you behind the wheel this holiday with our new and used vehicle loans. Call 639-5060 to book your appointment today or visit us on Facebook and Instagram. Wishing you happy holidays from Lambo Credit Union. And remember, we are always here for you.
Talk, watch, and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime Bundle. The more you watch, cheer, and dance to your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win thousands of shake-to-win prizes. Enter to win grand prizes of $100,000, home appliances, and groceries valued at $50,000 or free Digicel services for a year. Visit My Digicel or dial *323# to buy a Prime Bundle today and talk, watch, listen to win big with Digicel. Better together this Christmas.
To all Tobagonians and visitors of this beautiful island, the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is seeking your efforts and support in keeping a clean and organized, friendly environment. In doing so, drop-off bins are located at strategic areas around Tobago for your recyclable materials such as plastics, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and Tetra packs in bags, and let's protect our environment. Our own Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is here to propel that change. Look for the white bin nearest to your area.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning,
Morning,
good morning,
morning. Good morning and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Viewers, we are chatting this morning with Councillor Tashia Boris, Secretary for the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. This morning, viewers, we are talking about improving Tobago's tourism sector. Good morning and welcome to Councillor Boris.
Good morning, good morning. Hi, good morning. And good morning, Tobago. Good morning to everyone who's viewing currently on Tobago Updates.
How does it sound to your ear hearing the Councillor Boris?
It's something to get used to, honestly. The call to serve was a pleasant surprise because I worked behind the scenes for this campaign, so there was no natural expectation for me to be, part of the administration in that way, but certainly my expertise and my advice was available to the party post the election victory. So when I got the call and the request from the chief to be of service, I was surprised, and it's still very much surreal.
But we're really happy for you,
Thank you.
Tobago is expecting great things from you.
Yes, yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes.
All right, so let's jump right into things. We're talking moving to Tobago's tourism sector forward. Just yesterday, we saw the first Executive Council meeting for the new administration.
Yes.
Chief Farley Augustine spoke on several issues. We understand that you would have met with tourism stakeholders throughout Tobago.
Well, we have started because this is just introduction week.
Right.
So I had to go around and make the rounds and meet the staff of the division first. Already, persons have started reaching out to me to have discussions. So I just had some introductions with like the CEO of TPAC, the CEO of TTAL, the CEO of the Festivals Commission, which are the three companies that fall under the division. And there's still sections of the division that I have to meet with as well.
The board?
I have not met with any of the boards.
Okay.
It's just the management teams of the respective companies because, as you are aware, Chief Secretary Augustine yesterday spoke about the situation with the boards that currently exist. So because there has been a change in administration, there will be some reconstitution of these boards because we have to now review what has been taking place that our predecessors, whatever situations our predecessors have left. So before we can now take our steps forward, we have to review what is on the table at present and then make a decision as to whether or not those persons who were there before, if they would be brought back or if we would have new persons brought on board. All of these decisions have to be made, but they also have to be made in the shortest possible time because tourism is one of the pillars of our economy, and the situation that exists presently really hinges on how soon we can get a handle on our COVID situation.
Right.
So that is top priority. We can't begin to invite persons back into Tobago if it is that we are not yet at a place where our people are safe and happy and healthy and whole. But in the meantime, while we are getting that situation under control, there's a lot of work to do behind the scenes to get us back ready. I call it green light to go.
Right.
So I've already put all of these CEOs and even the administrator of the division on standby that we have to get into a frame of mind of starting to plan for when Tobago has to be opened, because we cannot stay closed forever. And that date, because the idea is that we want to set some date in the future that we can work towards. So if it is we're saying to ourselves, 1st of January 2023, Tobago will be open for business. Yes, 2023. It gives us a year. So it gives us a year to get our COVID situation under control. It gives us a year for us to bring our room stock up to a particular level. It gets us to the place where we have our attractions that are, because some of the attractions are undergoing renovation works and refurbishments and different kinds of things. It gets us to the place where we've built out some of these companies because some of them have some hiring to do. But if we are saying to ourselves 12 months from now, we anticipate that we would be ready to go, green light, then we would have certain things in place in order for that to happen successfully.
All right. Now, are we blaming COVID? Are we blaming COVID for the tourism sector, the state of the tourism sector? I was reading an article recently that where Professor Andrew Spencer, who was recently appointed as a professor of tourism for UWI Mona campus, he was in the heading of the article was "Don't blame COVID-19 for regional tourism woes." He went on to state that the strengths of Tobago ought to be highlighted with a clear differentiation in what is being offered in Trinidad outside of festival and events. There are community tourism options available in abundance, and these must be unearthed. He spoke, on the tourism issue here. What would you say COVID-19 has brought to the light as it relates to our tourism product?
Well, first of all, I agree with the professor. COVID-19 is not the thing that caused our current situation. It's just added to a number of things that has gotten us to this point. The reality is that not enough attention, I guess, has been paid to crafting a vision for what Tobago's tourism should look like. And I think it comes from the fact that, what would I say? I mean, I have a passion for tourism. If you know where I came from to even get here, I mean, it's but God. But when I was younger, my mother did correspondence courses, tourism correspondence courses. And I would look through her books, and this is me being at 7, 8 years old. And I used to love to read magazines and see pictures of beaches and hotels. I always used to love to look at shows that showed different places and cultures. So I've always had a love for Tobago because Tobago always looked like what I saw in a magazine. It's just that when you go outside, when you travel, you realize that Tobago has been lost in the conversation for a very, very long time. And although we speak about Tobago tourism being this pillar of our economy, not enough attention in terms of investment, in terms of research and development of our products has been paid to it to the point where it could now stand on its own. So it has suffered over the years because Trinidad and Tobago in general suffers from something called resource curse, which is
Resource
curse.
Resource curse.
Resource curse. What resource curse basically is that oil and gas is our mainstay, so that everything else that might be supportive, or other supportive industries are not given the kind of attention that they, because you have this oil and gas being central, it has brought in the most money, so everybody focuses on oil and gas. Tobago gets its allocation every year from central government, so that people have been in the mode of, okay, we spend money for things and things will be paid for. We're getting money from down the road. But we've never sought to really build out all these associated industries that is going to help bring in money into Tobago tourism being one of them. You know, Chief Secretary Augustine has taken, I think, several steps forward in terms of advancing the conversation as to what part agriculture would play. Because it's no longer agriculture, it's food security, which says to me that it's not just about us getting export ready, but it's also about us being able to feed ourselves, and that is an even deeper conversation. But coming back to tourism, what you see is that there is the passion that exists among the practitioners. You see the passion in the tourism professionals, you see the passion in the culture professionals, you see the passion in the performing arts professionals.
I'm sensing a but.
You've not seen that same passion in the people who sit in the chairs of leadership. Because it's almost like if people were appointed or selected for their positions and it was just a job. But this is not a job to me. Nothing excites me more than the day that I can proclaim to the world that Tobago is open for business, and I'm going to do it with the most flair and drama. Because I'm a storyteller. And Tobago has a story that needs to be told. And I know that money is an issue. I mean, every conversation I've had so far with every CEO is Councillor Boris, Secretary Boris, we need money, we need the support because we need to buy equipment, we need to build out our organizations, we need to build capacity, we need to start to plan events. And yes, I know money is an issue. But at this time, as long as we're trying to sort out even that money situation, because Tobago now knows where we're at, we have to get creative. Okay. And that is an open invitation that I'm making to everybody who has an idea. And it doesn't matter where the idea comes from, because the idea is we all have to fix this. So it's not about what I want as secretary, what Ms. Morrison wants as assistant secretary, what the administrator wants, or even what the persons who work in the division or the stakeholders want. It's about what we as a collective want, and that we can't leave out the people who are part of this process. We can't leave out the people of Tobago when we're having that conversation. So certainly, now is the time for us to destroy the box. People talk about thinking outside the box. Now is the time to destroy the box. So we have to destroy the box when it comes to figuring out how are we going to get to green, you know?
Okay. I know one of the issues that is on the ground is the issue of the zip line, the zip line project that was started under the previous administration. Where are we? I know it's still fresh, it's still a few days, but is there an update? One report earlier on indicated that the material was already on the island. Some of the material to set up the zip line was already on the island. What is the story with that? Is it a project that you think under your administration you'd like to continue? Monies were already dispersed. Give us an idea.
Well, let me be very blunt. One of the first things I asked the administrator for when I assumed duty was to provide me with a status update, a report on the zipline, among other matters. The two other matters engaging immediate attention are the D'Angelo situation and the Virgin Atlantic $10 million missing money. So I'm due to get that report by tomorrow. In the interim, the chief has already asked me for some updates on that. Now, I think people remember in the campaign, former Chief Secretary Ansel Dennis would have indicated that the THA is pursuing some kind of legal action against the company. Now that Chief Secretary Fali has assumed office, based on whatever information I receive from the administrator of the division, he would now have to take a decision as to how we go forward with that. Putting aside that particular situation, zipline is a very viable project. The thing about it is that if we are in a situation where money has already been spent and we have not received anything as a result of that money being spent, and we find ourselves now having to pursue litigation, which in and of itself will also incur more expenses. Now we have to sit back and ask ourselves, can we now go again and spend another set of money to get this same project off the ground? So that is a decision that would have to be taken down the road by the Executive Council. It will be engaging our attention once we settle down and we settle some more pressing matters that are in front of us. But certainly that is one of the things that we will be discussing in the near future.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me at this time. Coming up after the break, viewers, Julian is going to be chatting with Councillor Boris as we continue the discussion on moving the Tobago tourism sector forward. So stay tuned and join us after this. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, today I could have been lying in this casket dead. I have lost so many friends. It is unbelievable. They stood right in front of me saying, Ian, I am not going to take that vaccine. You shouldn't take it. But today, they all passed away. They all died and gone. You want to be there for your family? Take the vaccine. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ian Allen. It's not a ledge, it's a fact. I am alive. Please, don't hesitate. Vaccinate. That could have been me going there, but I'm alive. As you can see.
Vaccinate today, live tomorrow.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Morning, Tobago, morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to those of you joining us in the region. This is the Tobago Updates morning show, and we are coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. It's just about 7:26 a.m. and we continue in this segment discussions with Councillor Tashia Boris. Good morning, Tashia. How are you doing?
Good morning, Julian. I am
So,
good.
you know, one of the things for me as we start this conversation, or continue it rather, starting it with me, but continuing the conversation, just before we go into the division itself, I wanted you to take an opportunity, because I know we came out of several similar fields in terms of youth development and so. And, you know, just in that snapshot, give persons a sense of Tashia Boris for where you are at today.
Okay.
And going through what might have been, you know, as young people recognize over time, we don't just get to a perfect spot in life. We don't just get here to responsibility.
No. You know, funny enough, I always believe that my journey has prepared me for where I'm at today. You know, there's this belief that everything that God puts you in, He gives you the resources and He puts the people in your path that are necessary for you to get to where He is purposed for you to go. I have a bachelor's degree in computing and information systems, so I'm grounded in technology. I have a master's from Arthur Lockjack with international marketing management qualifications, and I'm actually at this time pursuing a doctorate, and I started that before the election. So for those of you who were concerned as to why I did not run, because everybody asks why didn't I go back, I had just started back school, because for me I didn't really anticipate getting back into campaigning so soon. So I started school in September, and then October the election was called, and I wasn't in a position to defer. So I said, you know, I'm going to just use my skills to help the party win. But coming back to where we're at now, I started working in the youth development sector. My first job was at the YMCA. And then I moved over to the Department of Youth Affairs as a youth auxiliary. After that, I was at the port for a number of years as the supervisor in charge of customer service. So I've had my background with working with young people in communities and working with young people in youth groups. And then I went to the port, where I gained an understanding of our tourism sector, and I gained an understanding of our transportation sector and the critical importance of our inter-island ferry service. After that, I was at the police company Complaints Authority, where I was able to treat with people on a different level, because now you're dealing with persons who are victims of I don't want to say crime, but victims of situations that are perpetrated by members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So you're now meeting people in a more vulnerable situation, a more vulnerable sector. And all of these experiences collectively have really aided in me in terms of what I'm now walking into, because I have to treat with people at all levels, from the CEO to the man on the street. And you have to balance the interests of the persons in the sector as well as the needs of the persons who have to benefit from the sector. I think something that has been left largely out of the conversation is what is going on with our tourism workers. And welfare is very, very important, because what COVID has exposed is that a lot of these businesses were not compliant with business and industry standards. And when persons had to go access aid to be able to, you know, keep their lives afloat because they lost their jobs very suddenly, they realized that things like NIS wasn't being paid, you know, they couldn't get job letters to confirm that they were actually employed so that they could go apply for grants. These are some of the things that we have to look at, because regardless of what takes place between now and when we open, we have to ensure that when we open, it's a sector that is compliant. And standards is what is of critical importance to me. And standards is not just about room stock. Standards is not just about the cleanliness of attractions. Standards also entails how do we treat our staff in our sector? What are the standards, the basic standards that they have to walk into when they go walk into an establishment and work there? You know, compliance with OSH regulations, things like that. Because you don't want a situation where something else happens down the road, because COVID is what COVID has really exposed is the vulnerability of the sector, because a tourism sector could be shut down for any number of reasons. Take, for example, Grenada, when Ivan passed back in 2004. You're talking about a number of hotels that were destroyed or very badly damaged, and all the cruise ships came from Grenada, and Tobago kind of benefited from that situation, although it was a very, very sad situation for Grenada. And they had to rebuild their sector, and as a result, their workers would have went through all the things that you go through when you now have to think about, I don't have a job, I don't have means of income.
So just before we go into that element, because you're touching on a really major area there when we speak broadly to customer service, you know, and I felt it important for us to continue on that note, Councillor Tashia, because we want to get this sense, and folks, she's doing all of this while managing family life, the average Tobagonian. So don't think she's just doing all of this, you know, she's doing all of this while managing family life. And I want to get your perspective in terms of particularly looking at the division that you lead. And when you hear the background, quite naturally, you understand why the chief would have selected you at this time to sit in that seat. And, you know, we want to look more specifically at customer service. How do we plan, you know, in terms of to move us in a direction? You know, we generally say Tobago, this is a collective responsibility. Customer service is not just about the person holding the position, whether yourself as secretary, whether it is Assistant Secretary Megan or the administrator or the technical officers. Customer service is something that has to be broadly delivered by all our stakeholders within the Tobago space. So give us a sense of how do you plan to approach that area as one of our challenges?
So what I've walked into, based on my discussions with the CEO of the Tourism Agency Limited, Mr. Louis Lewis, he has indicated to me that that company, they're embarking on a customer service training program. It's a 3-year program. So they're going to train a number of trainers who are now going to implement that training in agencies, whether it be hotels, bars, restaurants, schools, things like that. But more than that is this, right? The conversation about customer service really is we could go length and breadth with it, and it's one that comes up every single time people mention Tobago, our issues with customer service. And the experiences I've had from where I sit, being somebody who lives here, who operates here, and being somebody who travels a lot because I love to travel, when I realize what is taking place at home, when you look at tourism marketing, for example, before we had Tobago Beyond Ordinary, we had Clean, Green, Safe and Serene. And that was something that I think resonated with the layman. Average man in Tobago remembers clean, green, safe, and serene. But it didn't resonate internationally, it didn't resonate regionally. It didn't really position us or focus Tobago in a way that made us stand out. Fast forward to Tobago Beyond Ordinary. It's getting its attention and its rave reviews on the outside, right? The Tital has done a beautiful job in terms of the visuals and the tagline and that kind of thing. So it's making waves internationally, but it's still having some issues penetrating at the local level on the ground for the average man to buy into this idea of Tobago Beyond Ordinary. The beautiful thing about what has happened in the last couple of months is this. Chief Secretary Farley has introduced the greatest little island in the world. And I think that is something that every single Tobagonian can buy into. Because when you talk about being the greatest little island in the world, what do you dream of? Do you dream of world-class water parks? Do you dream of five-star hotels? Do you dream of a massive waterfront like St. Martin? Do you dream of Dubai? You know, and it gives us the opportunity to now dream of how great our product could be. And I think what has to happen is that once we embody the spirit of wanting to be the greatest, that will translate into how we now serve each other, how we serve our visitors, how we serve our locals, how we treat one another. And I think that once that penetrates at all levels, from the oldest person to the youngest child, once we could believe that we could be the greatest, that is when I think we could start to now arrest that situation of customer service.
Well, I think it's safe to say that we are out of time, but at the same time, the Chief would be happy to know the note on which our Secretary for Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation has closed, reminding us of that connected drive to make that link and to identify and to ensure Tobago becomes the greatest little planet.
The little island.
Little island.
On the planet.
On the planet. The greatest little island on the planet. Thank you very much again, Councillor Tashia Boris, for joining us. And folks, yes, we know, we're seeing it on the live. There's so much more to discuss within the sector. And I'm certain she's going to give us a commitment to be back with us to have further discussions as she continues to get into the division with the able support of Assemblyman Assistant Secretary Megan Morrison. And I see she's also on the live. Good morning, Assistant Secretary Megan. Thank you for also joining in via the live to provide support as you and Secretary Tashia take forward the entire division. Folks, in this next segment, we are going to go to the good stuff this morning. And yes, we continue to focus and to highlight productivity and excellence in youth development. Congratulations to Shaquille Jones. This morning, we are highlighting Shaquille Jones based on the fact that he has mastered for a second time completing his MSc International Affairs with concentration in Public Administration and a graduate certificate in Emergency Management. This morning, coming from the Tobago Updates family, we say congratulations to Shaquille Jones. If you know someone or anything you would like to feature on the good stuff, email us at info@tobagoupdates.com. That's info@tobagoupdates.com. Or call or WhatsApp us at 284-6597. That's 284-6597. Viewers, thank you for the continued love and support. We invite you to stay tuned. We'll be right back. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Everybody, this is your boy Kenneth Super Sad. Yeah, man. DJ, take it down. I want to tell all you this. When I was born in the hospital, my mother watched my father and tell my father, look with treasure. My father say, bury it. My father was an electrician for 40 years. And the first shock he get was when I born. I want to urge everybody, please get vaccinated. Right now, I performing before an empty audience. And the only way we could get things back to normal is if we get vaccinated. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, TNT, don't hesitate, vaccinate.
TNT, don't hesitate, vaccinate today. Kindly sponsored by NLCB.
It's our 75th anniversary. Live, laugh, and love with Lambo Credit Union. Take advantage of our 75th anniversary loans and get 100% financing for home improvement, appliances, groceries, debt consolidation, and much more. Did we mention no payment until January 31st, 2022? Get the most flexible repayment periods and the best interest rates around. Not a member? Not a problem. Apply for our new member reloaded loan and get up to $30,000 with zero down payment. Let's get you behind the wheel this holiday with our new and used vehicle loans. Call 639-5060 to book your appointment today or visit us on Facebook and Instagram. Wishing you happy holidays from Lambo Credit Union. And remember, we are always here for you.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Talk, watch, and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime Bundle. The more you watch, cheer, and dance to your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win thousands of shake-to-win prizes. Enter to win grand prizes of $100,000, home appliances, and groceries valued at $50,000 or free Digicel services for a year. Visit My Digicel or dial *323# to buy a Prime Bundle today. And talk, watch, listen to win big with Digicel. Better together this Christmas.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Viewers, welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are happy to have you join us. And this morning we are chatting with Mr. Joseph Frederick, political analyst or activist, as we focus on analyzing the THA election results. Good morning and welcome to you, Joseph Frederick. Welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show.
Good morning, Ria, and good morning to your viewers. It's indeed a pleasure to be on your show this morning as we continue as Tobagonians to ensure that the quality of life that we believe we need to enjoy in the Tobago space, that we work towards via discussion, via action, to ensure that that quality of life is realized.
All right. Now, I want us to jump right into things this morning. We're talking about THA elections, December 6th, 2021. Let's talk about the night of the elections. Results are coming in. You realize here that the PDP has passed 7 seats, crossing into 8. So PDP would have won. But then later on we saw where the PDP, according to the initial report, the PDP would have acquired all 15 seats. This was the first report. Later on, the following day, upon rechecking, we saw that the PDP 14, PNM 1. Let's get your thoughts on, did you expect this? Did you see this coming?
Honestly, no. Actually, on the night of the election, Ria, I was a part of a media team, and we were conducting interviews, and then we got to that point where we recognized that the election was not going the way that I had anticipated it. And
because let me just put in here that you have been very vocal, very public about where your political allegiance lies. You've never made it a secret. You're very public.
Listen, my philosophy is this, that in life there are going to be different views on how things should operate. And one should not be afraid because of intimidation or aggressive persons to share their views on an issue. I'm a teacher by profession.
Right.
And as a teacher, I encounter young people who are afraid to speak. And it appears to me that it's centered on the fact that they somehow believe that they're bullies in the space, some of whom they believe belong to my profession, teaching. And that once they share their views, people are going to start telling them how dunce or how stupid they are. And from the inception of me getting into teaching, I said to myself that that's not this enabling space that I wanted to make. Right. So in the Tobago space, you get a sense that persons are unwilling to share their true political beliefs.
And you're not
because recently I was a victim of it on social media. I decided to take a particular a line of argument. And there were commentators on social media, adults I'm speaking about here, that saw it best, to ridicule me, to make it appear as if I was the worst thing in the world. And I'm okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is that as adults, that is the example that we are setting for our young people. We must be the difference that we want in our society. I saw a celebrated social media commentator who does a lot of lives and so forth, going on a live and calling people dunce and canal conks. And my question to Tobago is that what we celebrate? Is that the kind of change that we want in our society?
All right.
It's unfortunate that we have gotten to a place where somehow we believe that behavior is what is important
acceptable
towards Tobago building, and the behavior of me, who have not cursed a single person, I've not posted any pornographic or obscene material, but somehow I exist in a minority, and I'm okay, Ria, being in that minority.
And we agree with you that this is unacceptable.
Once my students recognize that in a space around Joseph Frederick, it's an enabling space, and they can build and grow. We need to get to that place, because here's what. We have been championing in the Tobago space that we, as a people, we need to do differently. The administration that won this election was an administration that wanted to let's fix it. But what we must first fix is our attitudes to one another.
Right.
We need to understand the importance of being kind to each other.
Yes, and on that point, we totally agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about you. You started off by saying that you were a part of a media team on the night of the elections. We were talking about, what you were thinking as the results were coming in. Did you see this coming? No, you did not. You did not expect the.
I don't think anybody in the People's National Movement would have seen that kind of loss, and it to me suggested that they
would have seen it or expected this. This is what you're saying, right?
Right. The campaign was a campaign that was centered on the PNM retaining the administration in the Tobago space, so nobody really saw it. However, it appeared to me that in terms of the messaging of my party was one that possibly did not resonate with the voters. And so the voters came out on election day and they voted in a particular way. It does suggest to me that as a team that the leaders would need to do some introspection and look at what were the elements that led to the results on Monday, December the 6th. Because we came from 10-2 to then 6-6 to now this. And so it says that along the way, somewhere, the messaging may have not been what it should be.
Do you think there would have been a different outcome had the PNM agreed to accept that 6-6 back in January? Do you think that had anything to do with the type of results that we saw?
I honestly, I don't think that it had a major impact on the voters. I believe that in terms of the messaging, one element of the messaging of the People's National Movement seemed to have ignored the young voters. And I think that on election day, the young voters came out and voted in large numbers. And traditionally, the persons that would come out to vote in the Tobago space would have been persons there above the age of 35. And so one would understand that as an organization, you would attempt to pitch your messaging to that demographic. However, the results of the election seems to have suggested that that may not have been one of the best choices.
What do you think this win signaled about the people of Tobago? The force, I want to use the term force, the force with which they got rid of the PNM. What is it signaling to you?
I don't know if I will say the force at which they got rid of the People's National Movement. I believe that ultimately, for elections, what matters most is the messaging. And I think parties or political organizations need to be careful how they craft the messaging. The messaging was, let's fix this, as opposed to protecting your future. And the let's fix it messaging appeared to be a bit stronger than the protecting your future messaging. And it boiled down to, for me, the elements that were put into the mix in developing the messaging. The People's National Movement elements, again, I want to stress, was centered on a particular demographic. It was centered on, initially, it was, to me, focused on telling Tobago that going forward we would accomplish this for you. And it initially ignored the fact that as an administration, you had accomplished and achieved so much over the last 20 years. Now, there are persons in the Tobago space that would say that not much has been achieved. But when you look at the press conference of the Executive Council, this new Executive Council,
let's talk about yesterday.
This
was the first, let's just put it out there, the first Executive Council meeting by Chief Farley and his administration. And you mentioned that there was some concerns.
When you look at it, and you look at the initial statement made by our Chief Secretary, the Honorable Mr. Farley Augustine, he did indicate that there were policies that were made by the former administration that they intended to keep. It did suggest to me, as someone looking on, that as much as elements in our society wanted to convey that message, that not much has been done under the last administration, it's clear that he now, being in the executive, understands what it means to be managing the Tobago space, or is now beginning to open his eyes to see what it means to manage the executive, and recognizes that a lot of the policies that were implemented under the past administration were good policies. And what we really needed as a people, and I want to come back to my initial position, what we need as a people is to really be kind, because we're going to a government office. And you would hear the complaints as to the responses that you get. So the policy may have been a good one, but how do we move from getting a good policy to ensuring that whoever is working to implement that policy, that they are actually invested in ensuring that that policy is accomplished? But I want to go back to the press conference.
Very, very quickly, because we're running out of time, and we still got a couple of questions to pass your way. Very quickly here, Mr. Frederick. The issue of other members of the Tobago Executive Council, the People's National Movement Executive Council, resigning. Mr. Stanford Canada, former chairman, indicated that more persons need to step down, more persons need to tender their letters of resignation. Do you agree? And if so, who else should issue a letter of resignation? We saw over the weekend where 4 other members of the party would have tendered their letters of resignation. What are your thoughts on that, very quickly?
I don't think that at this present time. Now, I understand because of the magnitude of the loss, there would be an emotive response. But at this present time, I don't believe that the resignation would place the party in a position to transition in a smooth way towards a new executive if we need to select a new executive. I believe that the position that should have been taken was one where the executive came together and they had a meeting and they moved a motion speaking to one, that the elections committee would be set up to manage the election, because an election is due, I believe, in January, to manage the election going forward, and 2, that a date set in the future for all executive members to resign. That motion is moved and passed, and we move forward. But at this present time, to me, I'm experiencing a sort of emotive response to the outcome of the election, and that is understandable. However, I don't think that I fully understand and support it.
All right. All right, but we've got to leave it there. In the interest of time, we've got to leave it there. So maybe another time, Mr. Frederick, we can continue this discussion.
But I was hoping we would have a discussion on the press conference, the executive media briefing that occurred yesterday, because I found it passing strange that the information, based on the statements that were made in the public space, that the Secretary for Health, I would expect on the first executive press conference or executive briefing that as an administration, you would outline some policy directions, some major policy directions that you would take.
See that.
I got bashed on social media because I said this. I said that I am hoping that over the next 100 days, or you would get a statement saying that over the next 100 days, that this administration, look for some low-hanging fruits, this administration intends to accomplish this. People curse, but I'm saying that is a good idea, that you need to, as a new administration, hit the ground running. This whole idea that somehow we need to give them a honeymoon and they seem to be relaxing that honeymoon, I don't subscribe to.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Joseph Frederick, for chatting with us this morning. Viewers, we've got to take a break. Coming up next, Julian is going to be back with us as he chats with Dimitri Fraser on HIV and AIDS awareness drive. So stay tuned and remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, today I could have been lying in this casket dead. I have lost so many friends. It is unbelievable. They stood right in front of me saying, Ian, I am not going to take that vaccine. You shouldn't take it. But today, they all passed away. They all died and gone. You want to be there for your family? Take the vaccine. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ian Allen. It's not a ledge, it's a fact. I am alive. Please don't hesitate. Vaccinate. That could have been me going there, but I'm alive. As you can see.
Vaccinate today, live tomorrow.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
It's our 75th anniversary. Live, laugh, and love with Lambo Credit Union. Take advantage of our 75th anniversary loans and get 100% financing for home improvement, appliances, groceries, debt consolidation, and much more. Did we mention no payment until January 31st, 2022? Get the most flexible repayment periods and the best interest rates around. Not a member? Not a problem. Apply for our new member reloaded loan and get up to $30,000 with zero down payment. Let's get you behind the wheel this holiday with our new and used vehicle loans. Call 639-5060 to book your appointment today or visit us on Facebook and Instagram. Wishing you happy holidays from Lambo Credit Union. And remember, we are always here for you.
Talk, watch, and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime Bundle. The more you watch, cheer, and dance to your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win thousands of shake-to-win prizes. Enter to win grand prizes of $100,000, home appliances, and groceries valued at $50,000 or free Digicel services for a year. Visit My Digicel or dial *323# to buy a Prime Bundle today. And talk, watch, listen to win big with Digicel. Better together this Christmas.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, you know what, I feel like we're just going through and we're supporting youth excellence here this morning on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. In this segment, we are chatting with another, we can say safely, this is certainly a proud son of the soil, Dimitri Fraser. And this young man is not only here this morning representing the Tobago Youth Council as an executive member of the Tobago Youth Council, but quite recently he was also appointed to the National AIDS Coordinating Committee in terms of that board continuing to represent the views of young persons. Good morning, Dimitri.
Good morning, Julian. How are you this morning?
Quite good, quite good.
All right,
so,
nice.
so give a little sense of how has that experience been for you, particularly on the National AIDS Coordinating Committee. I know it's only, what, a few weeks in?
Yes, it's been a few weeks since I've been installed. It's indeed a shock for me coming out of all these various youth councils, you know, working with adults. I'm perhaps probably the youngest person on the National AIDS Coordinating Committee at the point. So it's a lot to keep up with in the whole virtual space, but I'm trying to make sure that I represent Tobago as best as I can.
I have no doubt in my mind, and the advice I typically give to persons like yourself, make sure and make it clear to them, don't judge you by your age.
Definitely.
We want them to look specifically at your capacity and what you bring to the table. So we're going forward to today specifically. There's an activity taking place hosted by the Tobago Youth Council. Give us some information on that.
Right, so today, not only the Tobago Youth Council, but in collaboration with the National AIDS Coordinating Committee, we will be having a pop-up awareness booth, all right? We'd also be facilitating free HIV rapid testing to all patrons. So everyone is invited. And I know you'll probably ask, why now? But let's address the white elephant in the room. COVID-19 is real. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to beg people to please adhere to the COVID guidelines and regulations. Every morning you're waking up and you're hearing somebody die. And I realize that a lot of youths, I don't know if we feel we invincible. You're still seeing, I actually passed by a bar last night and saw some persons there with their face mask off having a good time. And it is actually crazy, So I'd like to urge persons to please adhere to the COVID guidelines, right? So that brings me back to why now? Why awareness drive now? Because people like HIV, long I hear about that.
Yes, correct. Especially when we're straddling with the pandemic. So tell us why it's important.
That's exactly why it's important. Because we have a culture where we like to focus on what's in now and forget everything in the past. But ladies and gentlemen, HIV and AIDS is still here. And with the legalization of marijuana and all these other psychedelic drugs, you've seen wheat brownies and all these infused things popping up more and more. And let's be real, most of the parties or gathering now are at private villas. So the bedroom is available, privacy is available. So you have more persons making uncalculated risk and putting themselves at the risk of contracting HIV and AIDS.
Do you think in some instances the fear itself of the pandemic and COVID is also helping to reduce what might have been some natural interactions and coming together? Because as young people, we go out, we meet people, we start to interact, and I feel as though almost automatically, even though I'm looking at that young lady I may have my eyes on for a while, you know what I mean? We go out, we interact. Somewhere at the back of my mind, I still wondering, probably I want to make sure, I might think of COVID even before HIV and AIDS. Do you think that's a possibility now in this space?
Yes, I do think that's definitely a possibility in this space. And that's why, different NGOs and NAC and TYC, we have to ensure that persons are aware. Persons still make the right decisions in these spaces. So today, we'd like to, encourage people to come out because, we've seen the situation.
What time is it from?
Oh, so it begins at 1 p.m.
Right.
And it ends at 4 p.m.
And where exactly on the...
Right, so we'll be based at the Port Mall. So the testing would be done in a private room on the third floor.
Good.
And we'd set up a little booth downstairs so that persons bypassing could come and ask questions. They could come and collect little flyers and stuff. We even have free condoms, free donuts to persons that, willing to get tested.
Right. So persons ought to know that they do have the privacy of testing.
They definitely
do
have
that will
the
take
privacy.
Place separate from the arrangements on the ground floor.
Definitely.
So basically, I could just come and kind of interact with you on the mix there and just kind of hint and say, I want to get a test.
You don't want to tell anybody else you're getting tested.
Right. So ultimately, people have that comfort to understand that clearly. What are you hoping, what is the approximate target you're hoping to reach coming out of this initiative? Because you're here from, what time did you say?
1 p.m. to 4
From
p.m.
1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
What's the target that you're hoping to reach within that time frame?
To be honest, there's no set target. We just want to get on the ground, and as much persons as possible, we'd be grateful. Excellent. If we could reach 10 persons, 15 persons, we'd be most grateful, right? And as I would have said before, the situation now with the health system, it no longer fosters that space for you to walk in and feel like you could do a HIV test. You understand? Because who want to walk in the hospital now to get a HIV test done with all going on? You know what I mean?
And is it safe to say we did also be able to meet members of the Tobago Youth Council?
Of course.
Excellent. Of course. So this is my plug here as we wrap this interview. If you want to meet persons like Janae Campbell and all the other lovely ladies on the team, this evening at 1 p.m. Port Mall is the place to be. And if you're watching this interview and saying, gosh boy, Dimitri looked like, yeah man, and you're thinking of people like the Vice President Darian and Treasurer Dexter and all the other gentlemen there within the Tobago Youth Council, this evening is the time to connect with them at 1 p.m. as they coordinate this activity in conjunction with the Tobago, it's the AIDS Society?
No, the National AIDS Coordinator.
The National AIDS Society. So therefore we want to encourage persons to come out and to participate and to get involved. Another display of youth excellence and young people making that significant contribution. So we're looking forward and we wish this evening's every success, Dimitri.
All right, thank you very much.
Folks, in the next segment coming up, we hear from Devon Adana with This Day in Tobago History.
This day in Tobago history. Did you know that on December 16, 1926, the Castara Kid was born? I think you know everything about Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson, who would have celebrated his 95th birthday today, like the fact that he was the nation's first Minister of Finance, Tobago's first chairman, as the Chief Secretary position was then called. He was our third Prime Minister and also became the third President. But here are 5 more things to know about our first Tobago-born Prime Minister. Number 1, the name Napoleon was given to him by his father. His father insisted that ANR was not named for Napoleon Bonaparte, but after a well-respected teacher of his generation, who Mr. Robinson later discovered bore the exact same name of Arthur Napoleon Raymond. Number 2, did you know that Robbie was a sickly child, admitting to having or being plagued by many childhood diseases, including malaria, whooping cough, chicken pox, measles, and frequent stomach upsets? Number 3, in the very first election that ANR contested in Tobago, he would sometimes have to put a microphone on a donkey to access villages and potential voters who lived beyond palliative care. Number 4, Ray, as his mother called him, along with James Bigart and APT James, were the first recipients of the prestigious Tobago Medal of Honor. And number 5, and finally, the ANR Robinson International Airport was renamed thus on May 19, 2011, having formerly been known as Crown Point International. These details and many more can be found in Mr. Robinson's autobiographical book, In the Midst of It, which he published in 2012. You've been watching This Day in Tobago History. My name is Devon Adana. Back to you.
Devon Adana? You know, I almost called you Ria there. You know, Ria is so closely connected to me in studio. Devon, you know, this is a day for me that I always remember, particularly because my grandmother, now deceased, Natalie O'Connor, was also born on the same, and she would celebrate about the fact that she's born on the same day with such a humble gentleman, and speaking about those days and her proud and her pride nature for ANR Robinson. So it's good that we have captured that moment.
Definitely. Oh, thank you so much, Devon Adana, for chatting with us this morning. And, you know, we saw the change from the Crown Point International Airport to the ANR Robinson International Airport. We saw it in our era, you know, so a lot to celebrate as well. All right?
Ria, we are down in that final segment here. Yes. And we really want to, once again, you know, thank our viewers for the continued love and support, the love and support that has been coming via the live. Folks, don't worry, Ria was in relaxed mode and I had to pull her back in the mix.
You know, just to say goodbye to you, but we really want to thank you, viewers, for joining us today. We trust that you will, you know, continue to share the live with us and join us tomorrow on the program. Lots of great and exciting things happening on the program tomorrow. We don't want to sell out anything, so you got to be viewing from 7 o'clock.
Some quick other mentions just before I get into trouble. Rian George celebrating that birthday today. Happy birthday to you.
Rian.
Isai Hunt, past student out of Speyside High School there, celebrating that birthday again today. Happy birthday to you, Isai Hunt. As well as Kulon Balfour, happy birthday to you. We trust that you all have an enjoyable day today. And yes, Furniture Frederick, I know I got the message. You now woke up. Good morning and happy birthday to you. I trust that you have an enjoyable day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Happy birthday. Once we go, we leave it there. Have a great day. Stay safe on the roads. Wear your mask, sanitize, and socially distance. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good morning.